Hello, friends. A warm welcome to my subscribers and to anyone new to my channel as well. In this video, I'll be comparing two Tamiya kits. One is Tamiya's original Panzer-II kit for building either the F or G version. The other kit is Tamiya's later release that builds into the Panzer-II A, B, or C versions. The Panzer-II served in Germany's early campaigns, including Poland and the invasion of France, at which time it was the most numerous tank in the German arsenal. The F and G models were produced later during the 1940s and saw action in the expanding war zones like North Africa. The Panzer-II was taken out of frontline service beginning in 1942, and production of the last models ended in 1943. I already have a Panzer-II version F in my collection, so I'll use this FG kit to produce a Panzer-II G. By the way, the only visible difference between the Model F and G tanks was the storage bin mounted on the back of the turret on the G model. The G also had an updated, slightly more powerful Type 38 20mm cannon, but you can't see this because the barrel is the same on both the F and G versions. I'll use the ABC kit to build a model of the earliest Panzer-II, the Model A. Okay, let's get started. This is a kit review, not a build video. However, I will do some building on screen to show you how differently the two kits go together. Tamiya's newer Panzer-II is not a re-release of the older FG kit. It's completely new, with new tooling, a new sprue layout, and more parts. I'll begin by comparing the lower hull parts for both kits. In both cases, the parts are cleanly molded with nice detailing. There's no flash to clean up on either hull part. Both kits use the classic bathtub design for the lower hull, meaning the bottom and sides are molded as one piece. One major difference between the lower hulls is that the original FG kit was designed to be motorized and has openings in the bottom of the hull for a gearbox attachment screw and an on-off switch. Notice that there are also openings at the front of the hull where the metal axles from the gearbox would extend outside the hull to mount the drive sprockets. The first thing I'll have to do on this kit is fill in the holes in the bottom of the hull. Nobody will see these when the model is on display, but filling in the holes is a matter of being thorough and making I'll also have to cut and install sponson floor parts to fill in the gap between the upper and lower hull in the FG kit. The ABC hull is designed for static display and has no openings for motorized parts. My FG kit has been in my stash since 1985, but it is not an original release because it did not contain a motor, a gearbox, or switch parts. This later release of the kit uses plastic inserts to replace the metal axles that held the drive sprockets in place on the original release of the kit. On the ABC kit, the drive sprocket axles are inserted into raised parts glued on the outside of the hull. One thing these two kits have in common is that they both use polycaps to attach the drive sprockets, the idlers, and the road wheels. The ABC kit's polycaps are minis, about a quarter the size of the FG kit's polycaps. Here you can see the drive sprocket attachment points on both kits. A visible difference between the lower hull parts are the suspension arms. On the FG kit, suspension arms and springs are molded onto the sides of the hull. This is okay because the suspensions are very crisply molded and very nicely detailed. The ABC kit provides slightly better detailing for the suspension arms by using separate parts. Both kits have a separate back panel for the lower hull. The FG version has this box molded on the upper left of the back hull plate. There was no corresponding feature on the ABC variants, so the kit has no corresponding part for this. The FG kit has a simple boxy muffler molded as two pieces, the muffler and an exhaust pipe. In the ABC kit, the muffler is a four-part assembly detailed with an overlaying photo-etched cover. In short, both kits have very nice exterior details on the back panels. In the FG kit, the bow plate is molded as part of the lower hull. In the ABC kit, you complete the lower hull by attaching a separate flat-angled bow plate. If I read the instructions right, the bow plate part is intended to be used on any version of the kit you build, the A version, the B, or the C. I'm not sure this is actually right, as research photos and some of the things I've read indicate that the A and B and the early production C models had rounded bows. I have an early production Panzer-II C in my collection. As you can see, the bow plate is rounded. According to some of my research material, the flat-angled bow plate came into use beginning with the late production C models. This of course means it wouldn't be right for the A model that I'm building. Here's a quick comparison of the drive sprockets, road wheels, return rollers, and idlers. In both kits, the parts for these features are crisply and cleanly molded with good detailing. The road wheels in each kit go together just a little bit differently, but both use a polycap set into the back of each wheel to attach it to the suspension arms. The idler wheels in the FG kit are a one-piece molding with nice front surface detailing. The ABC idlers are molded in two parts, again with very nice details. The return rollers in both kits are pretty much the same and simply get glued to axles molded on the lower hulls. Alright, now it's time to compare the upper hulls of these two kits. Looking at the upper hull parts from both kits, we see that the shape at the front of the upper hull has changed. The front of the ABC upper hull angles back on the right side. To simplify and speed up production, later Panzer-II versions like the F and G models had a straight, squared-off plate across the driving compartment. The rear of the upper hull also changed over time. A third set of engine air vents was added on the left side of the FG versions. The ABC kit has a small hatch molded into the upper hull in the space where the extra air vents appear on the FG kit. As you can imagine, a tank as small as a Panzer-II doesn't have much internal storage space. To address this issue, the Panzer-II F and G models had storage bins added to the fenders. In the FG kit, these bins are molded on the upper hull. The FG kit's upper hull has the transmission access hatch molded in front of the driver's viewports. The engine access hatches are also molded on, while the newer ABC kit adds a little bit of detail in the form of separate parts for these hatches, as well as the separate parts to enclose the driving compartment. Another detail molded onto the FG's upper hull are the bullet splash rails at the front and rear of the top plate. These are separate parts on the ABC kit. Frankly, I don't think having separate parts for these particular details adds any realism to the finished model, but that's just my opinion. The tie-down hooks on top of the hull are also a molded feature on the FG kit, which is fine by me because I hate dealing with parts this tiny. The separate tie-down parts on the ABC kit are too small to present any significant improvement in realism or detail. Personally, probably because of my reduced eyesight and slightly unsteady hands, I found trying to add these minuscule parts to be nothing but a major annoyance and a waste of time. Oh well, even the best kits have their drawbacks. Of course, if I was 30 years younger and still had sharp eyes and steadier hands, Maybe such tiny parts would be less of a pain in the Panzer. Both Tamiya kits have separate parts for the viewport covers on each side and at the rear of the upper hull. The FG kit has no openings for these ports, and the covers are designed so they can only be attached in the closed position. In the ABC kit, these parts have a flat back so that you could have fixed them in the open or closed position. Since there is no interior detail in either kit, it doesn't matter much if you elect to put the port covers in the open or closed position in the ABC kit. Okay, now I'm just getting picky. One very minor difference between the ABC and FG kits is that the mounting notches for the turret are in different positions. On the ABC kit, these notches in the upper hull are located opposite each other on the left and right sides of the turret race. On the FG kit, these notches are at the front and rear of the turret opening. I'm not complaining about this. I'm just curious why Tamiya felt it needed to relocate these mounting notches. Time to move on and compare the turrets of these two kits. The FG turret is extremely simple. The side viewport covers can be only fitted in the closed position. The commander's cupola is only two parts, including the hatch. The gun mantle or gun mount part is simply fit between the upper and lower parts of the turret. And the turret has no interior details at all. The turret in the ABC kit is a bit more complex. The large double-hatched opening at the top of the turret allows a fair view inside, so there are a few simple details. There's a commander's or gunner's seat, a mount and body assembly for the 20mm cannon, and a very nicely detailed MG34. For my FG kit, I'm replacing the 20mm gun barrel and the MG34 barrel with metal aftermarket parts. The metal 20mm barrel is finer and more accurate than the kit's plastic part, and has an opening in the front of the muzzle, so I don't need to drill this out to get a little extra realism. Even the metal MG34 has an open muzzle, and comes with a very nicely detailed plastic cooling sleeve. The gun barrels in the ABC kit are so nicely done that I'm not going to replace them with metal parts. Amazingly, both the 20mm cannon barrel and the MG34 barrel in this kit have open muzzles. No need to drill out these parts for the extra touch of realism I'd like. Now, I'll finish off the two Panzers by adding their turrets and airbrushing each in their appropriate color scheme. Then I'll add the wheels. I'm going to cheat on the ABC kit and replace its section and link tracks with vinyl tracks from my spares box. These are just as nicely detailed as the hard plastic tracks in the ABC kit and will be much easier to install. To sum things up, here's my evaluation of these Panzer-II kits. Overall, I'd say these are both excellent kits, each in their own way. Both are up to Tamiya's production standards. They're well worth the time and effort to build them. The F/G kit is an excellent starter kit for anyone just getting into military modeling. It's a small kit with few parts. Even so, it offers the builder a choice of two versions of the Panzer-II. All the parts fit well and the instructions are clear and easy to follow. Molding is clean and crisp with nice surface details. It's a fine kit and a lot of fun to build. However, it has no interior details at all. Filling in the holes in the lower hull is optional, but I would advise adding sponson floors to close the gaps between the upper and lower hulls and cover the hollow areas in the fenders where the storage boxes are molded. Otherwise, this is a great little kit right out of the box. The ABC kit makes a beautiful and highly detailed model with options for 3 early versions of the Panzer-II. However, I would not recommend it for beginners. For one thing, the instructions are not quite as clear as the FG kit's instructions, mostly due to the much larger number of parts in this kit. Another reason I think this kit is unsuitable for beginners is there are a number of extremely tiny parts that I found almost impossible to attach, even using tweezers. Many of these could have been rendered just as well by molding the details in place. The parts are so small they do nothing to improve the finished model's realism. There are no details in the hull, but the turret has a nicely detailed 20mm gun and MG34, along with a commander's seat. The 20mm and machine gun are particularly nice as they have hollow muzzles. There's no need to drill out a solid barrel to add realism. Exterior surface details are excellent, and the Pioneer tools are very finely molded. However, beginners may find that some parts are too finely molded and are easily broken when removing them from the runners, or even when attaching them. Now, while I'm not fond of hard tracks, the ones in this kit are very nicely rendered. Overall, I'd say this is a great kit for intermediate and advanced builders. Well, that's my comparison of Tamiya's 2 Panzer-II kits. I hope you enjoyed this little video. If you did, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel. Yeah, well, if you haven't already. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.